battling for way back. She tripped at the final water jump, but look at this as she storms over the line. Vic Mitchell come back there, unofficial time of 9:56.
Joshua Cheptegei of Uganda, the world cross-country champion. He's sucking up onto Mariga's shoulder. And Chalimo is making a move as well. And here we go. Let's bring him up the home stretch. Cheptegei, Chalimo, and Mariga. 8:07:50.
In dem Moment ging vorne die Post ab und da hat Baumann eine ganz schwierige Position. Aber er kommt nochmal. Und Jek ist geschlagen. Kommt Baumann noch ran.
Jetzt muss er innen durch. Die Lücke wäre da.
Paul Bitok, fitter
Die
Bölzer.
Lücke ist da.
Dieter Lauf.
Baumann.
Das geht doch.
Baumann gewinnt. Baumann wird Olympiasieger.
Baumann ist Olympiasieger. Dieter Baumann von der Schwäbischen Alb. Auf den Thron.
Red Wine overtakes him. 600 meters in 1:17.98, and that is very fast. And Barbosa goes past Brown. And look at Aaron come now. Look at the Olympic champion. It's absolutely breathtaking. He stormed up to Barbosa. And Aaron has gone past. Barbosa holds on. There are only two men in it. The Olympic champion and the defending champion. And that is a storming run. Look at the clock. 1:44.85. And Sebastian goes for a record of God.
They're behind at this point.
That's East Germany. To Evelyn. Marley Skur is anchoring, and here come the Soviets. East Germany. Here comes Evelyn Esford. She does it. 41.97.
I love that clip. I love it because it doesn't matter that you can't understand what they're saying, right? We
I love it when they cross the
all feel
line.
that. And I think about the people in the stands that are cheering us on, you know, sometimes and like in that situation, but we're cheering you on. And wherever you are in this race, it's not about, you know, beating everybody else around you. It really is about finishing at your personal best. And so wherever you are in this race in 2024 it's exactly where you need to be. And I think it's just so awesome to feel those people crossing the finish line. It's like you're winning with them. And I think that's another reason why it's so important that we surround ourselves with people who are cheering us on, who are holding a big space for us, who believe in us. So when you watch clips like that, it's like, you know, that person is capable of getting across the line and you just want to yell it out to them. And that's often, I know how you feel about members on your team, where you see this potential in them and you're just cheering them on. And that's what we want to be for you. So today we're going to walk through an exercise that we call reflect, review, and reset. But before I do that, can I announce something really, really cool? We're all super excited about it. So here's just a quick clip of what's to come. Hey, we're so excited about October 18th. We've landed on a date, we've landed on a site, and we've landed on exactly what we're going to be doing. We're all together on October 18th in person. I cannot wait. I'm so excited about it. We're going to be spending a whole day just doing this, like pouring into you. It's going to be a time that you can network and connect with other amazing leaders from different industries. It's also going to be a time where we're going to just give you some really practical ideas that you can use immediately in a very fun way. I just sat through 4 days of torturous training over this last weekend. The content was good, but it was like I had to, get myself psyched before the day. It won't be like that. It's going to be a fun, interactive, energetic day. We're going to give you some practical tools that you can go and use with other people. But beyond that, we want it really to be a time that you can invest in you. And so that's going to be October 18th. Put it on your calendar. Don't give it away. We're also going to do an optional happy hour the night before and the night of. So if you're thinking, I love these people, I just can't get enough, we're going to we're going to have an event after that. So just that evening, that's totally optional if you're thinking that's really not my thing. So I just wanted to give a gift to those of you who showed up today. And if you are a procrastinator and you wait until the last minute, that's okay. We love you. It's just we're going to charge you more. So if you're that person and you're good with it, so am I. Sometimes I'm that person. If you register before, I think it is September 15th, we're going to give you a little bit of break because obviously that lets us know a head count. So we have plenty of food and materials for that day. But if you joined this webinar and you're like, I'm in, and you do that in the next 24 hours, we're so happy. So if you're just thinking, you know what, I'm grabbing this because I spent more than that on a meal this last weekend, then just go ahead and I think Lance has the link in chat.
It is.
But we just love to have you. It really is going to be an amazing day and just a time that you can pour into you. And it's very likely we've got a couple of other things up our sleeve that we're going to bring out that day and after. So if you're interested, if you think I'd love to do that, let us know. And if you think I'd like to bring my whole team, let us know. We can always jump on a call if you have additional questions. Okay, so I've marked out this whole day just for you. So if you have any questions, let me know. All right, so now let's jump into this exercise around reflect and review. There are a couple of key points that I want to make when you think about running your race. And just remembering that it's not about what everybody else is doing around us, though it's really hard. It's really hard to block out that distraction and not get into the comparison game. But this is your game. This is your race. And the goal is about, like being your personal best. And that was the focus of choosing the word more, that you're just living a bigger, better, bolder version of yourself this year. And here's the other point that I want to make. Whatever it is that you're aiming to do right now, if anybody else on the planet has done it, you can too. Like 99% of the time. Okay, so I'm 5'2", probably not going to dunk a basketball, but I think you know what I'm saying. If it has been done by anybody else, it can be done by you also. And so I'm about to hand it over to the amazing David Perez. But in the time that we have, grab some paper, grab a pen, however you like to write. There is power in physically writing things out. It's a lot of good science of it. Just engages more of you. If you're driving, you don't have to do that. You can do that in your head.
Please do.
And Lance, did you have a question?
Just a quick announcement. We already have our first registrant, Chris Martin, the greatest Chris Martin.
All right.
Awesome.
That's great. So we're going to spend a minute to just look back over the last 6 months and review. All right. And then the other step of this, and you can use this with your team. It might be a really good time to do that. To reflect on what's important now, because what was important then may not be important now, and that's okay. And then the third thing is just really resetting and maybe resetting this, right? Resetting your mindset. And so, David, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Yes, June is a perfect time to reflect, look back, see how things went. And we're going to do that today, this morning, because I think a lot of times we are so much on the go, 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 go. We go to meetings, and guess what? We have meetings and we get tasks that are just added on to an already long to-do list, right? I'm sure everybody experiences that at one time. And when you do that back to back to back, it's almost like you feel behind. You almost like you feel a little bit drained in that sense. So that's why taking some time this morning, what we're going to do, and looking back and really reflecting, we're going to talk about being in the gains, not necessarily the gaps, and looking at all the great work that we've done so far. So let's take some time this morning to do that. Otherwise, we always feel like, oh, we'll do that later. We'll do that later. But taking some time today will really help out with that. So we can go that next slide piece there. So I'll be asking you guys a few questions coming up when we're looking back over the last 6 months. So before we ask these questions, real quick, go back to January. Remember in January when there was the new year and you're like, I'm setting some goals. There's New Year's resolutions. Some people do them, some people don't. I always love trying to learn something new in a new year. But going back and what were those intentions that you had in the new year? What were those goals that you were setting? And were you working on those? So you're kind of going back to that mental image. And then over time, were you able to stick with those? Were you able to stick with those works? Maybe you were on and off on the goal. But now is a great time to look back and review that. And not just those goals, but we'll look back at pretty much everything the last 6 months. All right, so the first question for everyone here is, what are you most proud of over the last 6 months? All right, that's a big one. What accomplishment would you like to be acknowledged for over the last 6 months? So go ahead and actually take some time right now. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to reflect on something that you're most proud of. While you're thinking, I'd like to share a little story of myself, of something I'm kind of most proud of over the last 6 months. I love stress management. I love teaching it and helping people with it, and life balance and what that is defined for each individual. While at church, there was someone who went up to the podium and said they were doing a prayer and life workshop and to come join that following Monday. And so I did, and because I thought it was interesting and I wanted to learn a little bit more. Well, it wound up being 14 weeks long. They don't tell you that at the beginning. So, but it was something that I went to for the next 14 weeks. And it was something I loved, and it was a great part of my life. And I'm really, really proud of that part over the last 6 months. So just take a couple minutes here and think about something for yourself that what you're most proud of. If you have something that you'd love to share, feel free. You can come off mute and share something that you're most proud of over the last 6 months, or maybe even put something in chat. All right, Cody said for taking and getting my ACC. Awesome, congratulations. It's very exciting. I think the big thing,
us, David, as a company, just getting our new website up.
Oh yes, and all the work that behind the scenes, and hats off to Patty too, and doing a lot of work with that. Everybody, it was amazing. And we're doing this today, looking back at the last 6 months of what we're most proud of. But honestly, this is really a great practice. We've all heard that having gratitude and being thankful for some of the things in our lives, doing that on a daily, weekly basis is great. But also looking back, it's far too so often that, and then Lance and Sherry can tell you, like in coaching, we hear repeatedly clients almost always looking at the gap, what's going wrong, what needs to get better. But it's like, hey, there's a lot of great things that you've done too. So don't forget about those. I think we'll kind of start wrapping it up here. Thanks for sharing the web. Yeah, y'all go to the website whenever y'all get some time and check it out. It's pretty nice. My memory's too short to remember. I know it's like really have to reflect back on that. Gotcha. Okay, so our next question here over the last 6 months when we're reviewing is, what is a lesson life has taught you over the last 6 months? And as we know, part of life, just part of growing, it's such a wondrous thing. Actually, life is teaching us lessons all the time. Maybe it comes in a way we don't really appreciate sometimes, but sometimes those are some of the best lessons. And these lessons also, like it's just continuous for us as well. Y'all know that a Garth Brooks song, sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers, because these lessons come in a different way that you would think. So what are those? What have you learned over the last 6 months? Just take a minute here, reflect on that. There could be lessons at where you've grown personally. Oh, I love that, Chris. I'll read it out what Chris posted in chat. It's beautiful. Stepping out of my comfort zone has given me an appreciate for people who are experts at what I'm not. Appreciation, sorry, yeah. It's really nice. Peter, don't take for granted your health. Sherry, I think it was a saying that you said that I love too, that a healthy person is wishing for 1,000 things, an unhealthy person is wishing for one thing, right? Absolutely. For me, I don't know, I've shared that I'm doing this 75 hard program. You have to work out 45 minutes twice a day, which I was like, oh man, this is not going to work. But I've been doing it for 42 days now. And it's the lesson I've learned is like, if it is like, you have to get this done no matter what, you can find time and make it. There's been early mornings and late nights for that to happen, but that's a good life lesson for me. Anybody else? Feel free if you want to come off mute and share. You can do that as well. We'll give it just a few more seconds here, guys. Sherry, you're not in control. I love it.
Gotten that message.
I don't understand.
Very good. All right, guys. So that was looking back over the last 6 months. And so I hope you were able to kind of review some of the stuff that's happened. Again, staying in the gains. I just don't think we're there as often as we should be sometimes. And then what are those how are we growing? Life lessons that we were taught. So that's great. So those are the last 6 months of a review. Thanks, Sherry. Yeah. All right. And so the other thing here, looking back over the last 6 months, this is something called a wheel of life. If you have not heard it, you may have heard it. There are many different versions of the wheel of life. And so I'll kind of review this a little bit. The first time I heard it was with Zig Ziglar. He was a motivational speaker a while back, and he has different categories. They're very similar. Tony Robbins has a version of the wheel of life. I think even Dave Ramsey has one with the wheel of life, the different categories. But it's basically taking some of those main categories in life, putting it in a circle like this. And then you go through each category and you rate where you are, from I'm doing my worst in this category to I am doing my best, living my best life in this category. And if you want to do this exercise, I've actually done this with many people in the coaching perspective, just to kind of get an idea of where can we focus some time, and where we want to see where maybe there are some areas that we want to work on and improve. But you go through each category from like 0 to 10 or 1 through 10, and you put a little dot in each category. If you look on the slide deck right now, you'll see mindset. You know, you can pick a number where your mindset is, or family, diet, fitness, those types of things. And after you've done every category, you connect the dots, and it's supposed to make like a wheel, like a circle. And so you'll notice that not everybody's circle is always perfect, because in some areas we feel a lot better than in other areas. But there might be some areas where the wheels looks pretty good and then it goes flat, or there's a big wedge put into the circle. And you can imagine a tire or a wheel trying to turn like that. It doesn't turn really well on a really flat edge, right? So that's always a good indicator of saying, okay, hey, maybe you should take some time and work on this specific category. For example, let's say if you rated work was going really bad, you didn't like it, all the drama and things that are with the bad job are happening, so you rated it at a 2. You know, that may be an area that you wanted to work on and trying to get that part up, because overall this all adds up to a sense of peace in life, a sense of accomplishments, and those types of things. So if you have not done the Wheel of Life exercise, it really is great. So the question here is, in what areas on the Wheel of Life have you been most successful for you? Right? You can take a little time to do that. And then the other part will be like, what are some of the areas that didn't feel so successful, or still need some work, or it's not where you want to be in that sense? So we can do that there. So yeah, we got the one thing that's not on here. In fact, this Wheel of Life was from my anti-cancer work. You know, so it was seen that there were people that were working on these different categories had lower rates of cancer, just because they had intention in a lot of these different categories that help out with peace and happiness. So it was pretty neat to learn about that. But what areas in the categories here you think that are better than others? Has anybody done this Wheel of Life before? All right, yeah, Cody, awesome. Yeah, it's really nice. And the cool thing about the Wheel of Life is, if you, let's say you do it, you set some goals towards it, in a few months you can go back, just like we're doing today, over the last 6 months, and redo your Wheel of Life, and then see how it's maybe improved, or maybe there's other areas that need a little bit more support. That's a good question. On the environment, what does environment represent? Sherry, do you have any ideas on that one too, on the environment?
Yeah, I think, you know, you've got 2 levels. Clearly, it could be your physical environment. That can be important to you. But probably more so is the environment being who I'm surrounding myself with, and what kind of culture, you know, going back to that word, really important, because sometimes your environment, you know, you can be connected with people who walk into a room and blow their secondhand smoke on you. Not physically, but I guess they could do that too. But if you're in that toxic environment for a long period of time, it's hard to breathe. And I really do like to think about, we all have to take responsibility for the energy and the attitude we bring into every situation. Like, that's on us. You wouldn't sit in a meeting and take a big drag and blow smoke on everybody. And I think we've got a responsibility not to do that with our attitude and our mindset and our words. So for me, the environment would be less of the physical environment, though there were some changes I wanted to do with that, but I haven't yet. But I think it's more around the culture. Like, what's your day-to-day look like? And you know what? If we had time, we'd all go around the room and share times where you found yourself in this toxic environment. You don't have ideas. It's hard to think. And then when you get out of it, you're thinking, man, why did I stay so long? You know, like I'm myself again.
And I think the big one on that one too was the social connections, especially with things that are changing so much.
Yeah.
We're on our phones a lot. We're doing webinars or not. Where's that face to face? And what you feel is great and with social connections, because that's definitely related to helping out with stress and happiness. All right, so that was a review over the last 6 months. I hope you're able to take some time and write some things down. Especially, I love the things that you're most proud of. So it's actually very, very powerful. So we'll kind of move on to another intention of reflecting, a little bit different than review.
Mhm.
All right, so reflecting on where you are now. And we love the golden question of kind of thinking about the finish line and what are those things that you need to happen to get to that finish line. So if we are at the end of 2024, so remember we started in January, our mindset was there. Now we're in June, kind of reviewing, looking back. Now our mindset's at the end of the year, December of 2024. All right, holiday season's in the air, all that kind of stuff. Put your mindset there in the future. If we are at the end of 2024 and we are looking back from December of 24, what would make you say I nailed it? What would make you say like I did it? This is more than I even thought it would be. And it even started from those goals that we were setting in January, or some things that we wanted to reset on in the beginning of the year. Looking back and say like I nailed it. What would make you say that? So we've looked at accomplishments already through June, and then from now June to the end of the year, what else would we need to do? Take a few minutes on that part. And sometimes, depending on goals or depending on where you wanted to be or certifications, that you've already accomplished, that could be it as well. But what are some other things? Say that you did it. And I think we've all heard a little bit about visualization and actually having a mental picture in our mind of getting there and achieving that goal, crossing that finish line, whatever that looks like to you. For me, it's finally getting into the 180-pound marks decade decile. That's what I'm looking forward to. Getting closer and closer. Let's take a minute. Oh, I love that, Marie. Like having to working on your workspace, having a clean and organized space really helps me to perform better. There's a lot to that actually. Cleanliness and being super organized. There's a lot to that helps out with productivity and stress. So that's actually a fantastic. I love that. I need to do that too. That sounds like get a little bit more organized in that sense. I love it. Found a great company to work for and great retirement location during my transition. I love that, Cesar. Very good. I love that, Talisha, as well. Finally getting to a space where I am taking care of me first. And that's so important as well, because when we're able to do that, we're able to provide more energy and be more productive and care for others in that sense. I love it. Hitting my stride would be nice. Perfect. So these are all these wonderful goals that are coming through. And then looking back from December 24, seeing what you have to do to get there. That's awesome. And then our next question here for you guys. What in this present moment still feels incomplete or undone? What in this present moment still feels incomplete and undone? Sometimes it's always like that little monkey that's on your shoulder, it's on your back that you're like, man, it's still there. I need to get rid of that. So any good examples of something that feels incomplete and undone? Too much is better than everything. Starting a new software company. Very incomplete. That's big. That's a big task there. I love it. It's fun working through these things that because we always like to say, what does done look like? And so you can ask that, what does done look like in these different goals that you have? And that's where you kind of get a sense of that incomplete or undone. Too much to name, but getting to a space that I can say it is okay not to bite off the entire elephant. I think a lot of people could relate with that. And that's one of the big steps in, I think, accomplishing the big goals is we set these big goals and sometimes get intimidated by that big bite that we think that we have to do. But we don't always have to do that. Just small little things, little by little, gets us there as well. So if we're looking at our mindset, if we're looking at our vision of December 2024, right? Looking back and say that we nailed it. Right now, that thing that's incomplete, undone, those may be the things that we need to continue to keep working on, right? So those are some of the items that we can, list out and then put those into your daily work. Remember, what are those different pieces that are incomplete? Perfect. All right, Sherry, we'll go to the next slide. So those are some of those questions there. And then in what areas on the wheel of life do you want to be more intentional on? So after you've done the wheel of life here and connected the dots, you see some of those flat parts. Are those, just because those are the flat parts as well, because there's always so much more that's going on when you're trying to work on different things in your life. Are those flat parts areas that you do want to work on? And you can tell a lot because are those stresses that are on your mind. A good example here too is, it's not really on here. Finance is a lot of times on the wheel of life. So many people, worry about finances and those types of things and how changes in their life can affect their finances. So that may be an area that can be added on here as well. And then this is an example, but if that was like a lower score for you, then what are some things that can help you out with find a little bit more peace in that piece of the wheel? So what are some areas in wheel life do you want to be more intentional on? And what's great is, thanks for sharing that, the social connections, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I think I forgot who the authors were, but it was the happiness book. It came out earlier this year. It was like an 85-year study was it Harvard? I couldn't remember one of the schools it was.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but it was a long. They were following these families and these individuals for over 80 years. And it really, you read this whole book and it comes down to, not just spoil alert, so sorry, but it comes down to your relationships a lot of the times of what they were finding, those different connections in relationships. So I thought that was really interesting. It made me want to put a little bit more emphasis on my relationships and what am I doing in my day-to-day to make sure I'm nurturing those relationships. We all have those. We all have that person like, I need to call so-and-so, right? We all have that. Go do it. Go call them, text them. So these are all great exercises, guys, when it comes to where we are reviewing and then reflecting in the sense of like looking to the future and what do we got to do to get that, to say that we nailed it. So you guys got this. Hope that was helpful. Sherry, I'm going to hand it back over to you for the reset part here.
Yeah, I just want to, I got 5 minutes here. We always hang on extra time for anybody who wants to. But I really thought about, if we're resetting, what are the 3 things that we see can make the biggest difference? Obviously, you could Google this and get 1,000, I don't know, millions and millions and millions of hits. But just in the work that we do, we usually see these 3 things that can make a massive difference. And I just want to challenge you as you move forward. 1, I don't know who makes this coffee, but I got to get some. One of my first tip is start your morning off with intention. Take your mornings back. If you've been waking up, grabbing your phone and opening up email or social media or whatever, I want to challenge you to stop that. One thing, my 4-day training I just got off of is NLP, which is basically neuro-linguistic programming. And it is almost a study of what do really successful people do and how they manage their mind. And one of the things that is common among the high performers we get to work with, you read about, they are telling their day where it's going before it tells them where it went. Starting your day off with intention, even if that is taking 30 minutes just for you to reset, because people are depending on you. You are influencers. And remember, influence and influenza come from the same word. We want to influence people in a positive way. That's not going to happen if we don't get that mental discipline and get that time in the morning to reset. So I know David could go on and on and on about that too. It's so important, whether that is an exercise, like that's important to me to get into my body, whether that's meditation, it's prayer, it's journaling, just knowing that there is a sacred time for you, because when you do that, you're showing up better for everybody else. If you have a morning practice, let us know. Like, just put that in there. What is a non-negotiable for you? I just cannot state how important this is. My second tip is to think about, where am I playing small? And oftentimes we're doing that to ourselves. What is it that you really, really want to do, and don't play small? So sometimes we say life is not the price is right. If we are waiting for our name to be called so we can come on down and get whatever it is that we're wanting, we've got to undo that unconscious programming. Like, what do you really, really want? And not playing small. As we think about this kind of being like a halftime for us in June, I don't know if it was this Super Bowl or the last Super Bowl, but it sticks with me because at halftime, Michael Strahan said, this team can't play to win. They need to play not to lose, or not to lose as bad. That just stuck with me, because I think, where are we not playing big enough? Where are we not thinking big enough? And recognizing that if anybody else on the planet has done it, like I said, 99% of the time, we can too. And holding a big space, because whatever you think you are, you're more. Whatever you think you're worth more. And just recognizing that we don't want to play small. We got this limited time. Where do you know that you could step into a bigger space? So recognizing that, and all of this relates to my third tip, which is don't go it alone. Most often, the how is a who. surrounding yourself with people who encourage you, who inspire you, who are going to hold a big space for you, making sure you are a part of that. I just joined a new mastermind group for the next year because that's so important that we all have that. I'm a big fan of working with a coach, with being in a mastermind, with being in a community of people who are going to help me be a bigger, better version of myself. You know, the other thing that is important here, because I just experienced this and I've experienced it so many times. When you're looking for something, maybe it is in how you grow your leadership, or maybe it is personal, right? And then that something shows up, say yes to it. Like, how often, I think about when I first started working with my coach, it was in 2016. I literally prayed for a year, like, bring somebody into my life that can show me what I can't see. And then that person comes. And then I found out how much it cost. And so it was like, yes, yes, no. And you know, like, that shows up a lot. It may not be a person or an investment. It might be a risk or something that feels risky, but I've been looking for this. I've been looking for this. Then when it shows up, say yes to it. You know, how often do we do that? Maybe it's a dream house that you've been looking for, and then you see it, and then we panic, or we go back into our old mindset. And just know that sometimes those things show up, and it might be scary, and it might require being uncomfortable. Like, David, I love you mentioning doing the 75 hard, which I'm probably never going to do, but I totally admire that you did, because you were looking for something, right, to get back to the healthier version of you. And then when that something showed up, you didn't look at it and say, that's 75 days, it's too hard. You said yes to it. So going back to one of our questions around what's showing up right now, because I really do believe our life's always teaching us if we'll pay attention. So when the way or the who shows up, let's say yes to it, even if it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Or, you know, in that case, it was huge risk. I mean, it felt like a huge risk at the time to say yes to that. So I just think there's irony in it when we've been looking for it, and there it is. And then we say, wait a minute, let me think about it. Let me get back to you on that. All right, so I know I just wanted to wrap one more time, because we're in your corner. We're in the stands cheering for you. If there's anything, you want to just jump on a call, we do this all the time. So it's not a weird thing for us to jump on and say, as you reflected on that, what were some things that are important to you? We might have some resources to help you get there faster, and that's what we do. So just know that you've got us as a resource. And, thinking about October 18th, I just want to say this one more time. This is going to be an awesome day that you can pull out of the game and just invest in you and connect with other people who are like-minded in that way. So if you're going to do it now. And if you want to wait, that's fine. Okay. That's fine too. But we just really wanted this to be a gift for this group, because you joined us at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday when you've got 1,000 other things that you could be doing. And we just wanted to say thank you for doing that. So just know that we're here for you if we can be a support. In our next session now, the rest of the year, I want to bring some valuable information that is connecting with what's important now and where you want to go. So we thought in July, let's make it all about some new resources, like maybe some new things in tech that are helpful, maybe some new books, and some new ideas of ways that you can make those mornings more intentional. So July is going to be all about some more resources. And we're going to share this recording with you. But I can't thank you enough for jumping on. I thank you for what you do. I look at this group and I see the different industries that you're part of. And I thank you for making that investment. Some of you are in healthcare or nonprofit. You're in construction, you're in technology, like you're in the sciences. We just have such an amazing group of people that we get to work with. So thank you for doing what you do every day. Thank you for letting us be a little part of it. And just reach out if we can be helpful and set up just even a 30-minute call. All right, so that's what we do. Let us do it. And if you've got to get back out there changing the world, then go get them on 3. But if you want to hang around and talk about anything specific, we've got time. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you back here in July, just a few weeks.